Let's do it. All right, welcome everybody to another episode of XN Interviews. This weekend we've got JX joining us, and along with JX we have Dragon from the UMCOC podcast. Thank you for joining us this weekend.
What's up, everybody? I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on, guys.
We'll go ahead and start it off with what caught your eye about MCOC and what kind of led you to doing the podcast.
Okay, so, that's two separate questions, and I really like this. So MCOC actually caught my attention. I had just gotten a new tablet for Christmas, an iPad mini, like the first iPad mini back in the day, had just come out, and I'd gotten one for Christmas, and MCOC was one of the recommended games for the tablet. So I loved Marvel at the time. I'd grown up watching the 90s X-Men cartoon, so I decided, hey, I'm going to download this game. It looks pretty cool. And barring a 6-month stint in the middle where my tablet got stolen and I didn't have a phone good enough to play, I've been playing the game ever since. So, and then the podcast, so it had been, we've been on the UMCOC Discord, and there had been a conversation about how the community was mostly on YouTube and how, hey, there's really no podcast for like MCOC, and wouldn't it be cool to kind of do a podcast? And I have hosting experience because I worked a corporate job for a very long time where I would regularly host meetings and do that type of thing. So I kind of stepped up and was like, hey, I can help do this. I do this on a regular basis. And the rest kind of was history from there 3.5 years later. So that's how the podcast unofficially got its start. It was a bunch of us going, hey, this would be cool. And then we did the thing.
Awesome. So once you guys got the podcast started, about how long after you got all the current members, and what kind of stuff do you guys cover?
So the podcast covers a wide variety of things. I think we just did our 169th episode, which is a pretty crazy number, I'm not going to lie. So we cover the news kind of in basic, new champs if they're coming out, because we're all members of the CCP. We'll talk about any big community discussion points. Like a good example would be this past week, a lot of the frustrations with AQ and the AQ break and what happened with the compensation. There was a lot of kind of community angst going on. So that's something we cover and usually talk about in a lot of detail. I'm just trying to keep like, hey, what's going on in the community relevant along with the news. We know the running tagline of the show for a very long time was, we read the news so you don't have to. And we've really kind of tried to stay true to that since back in our very, very early days in the first couple episodes of the podcast.
Very nice. Okay, so along with Royal, you have also had a helping hand in creating a character. What kind of was that like, and did her kit look anything different from now than what it was when you got to her?
Oh my goodness, yes. Okay, so first thing I have to say is this was probably one of the coolest experiences I've ever had a chance to be a part of in just my MCOC career. And I've done a lot of them. I've done some under Showdown and a whole bunch of other things. So being able to not only have the chance to help with one of my favorite Marvel characters, but a champion I passionately love was a gift. So I had the chance to help at Jubilee, for folks who don't know. I really, yes, her kit was a lot different. The initial version was, I don't want to say a lot more utility focused, but because she is very utility heavy, even though she does some really nice big yellow numbers. But it was definitely set up differently. Her signature ability went through 3 or 4 iterations before it landed on its final version that we have today. Her synergies, the one thing I really fought for with Jubilee was I wanted 2 things that I was really passionate about. And thing number 1 was her having a taunt of some kind, because, you know, all the flashy fireworks, like that lends itself very well to taunting. So I wanted Jubilee to have a taunt. That was a huge thing for me. And the second thing I really wanted was I wanted her to have the sunglasses at night synergy. Now, it didn't end up named that. It's named something else entirely, and I don't remember. But all the characters who are a part of the synergy are the characters who wear sunglasses in the game. I think the only one who's actually not included in the synergy is Blade, and that's because he's powerful enough as is. But all of the characters in that one synergy all have sunglasses, and that was something I found so hilarious. I advocated for it pretty loudly. But as a whole, I think her abilities went through a full probably 3 or 4 additions, I think is probably the best phrase to use, over the course of the several months that I was involved in helping the designer with her. So, which was just so cool to watch, just to say, okay, we got feedback, so we're going to change this, this, and this is going to be different. And I'm like, well, what about this? And what about making her suicide friendly? Because a lot of the mutant champions are suicide friendly. And that's why you have her orange firework will take suicides off of you and make them as shock. So, a lot of those little points that you realize you have in conversation and then, show up in the champion. It's pretty cool to see live. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. And you can ask me more stuff if you want about it too. So
Okay. So did you have anything to do with her animations, or were they already built in?
So animations are one of the first things that get built for a champion. And you hear that in some champ interviews and designer interviews that like Dave and Brian Grant and others have done. But champ animations are one of the first things that happen. So that I was not involved in. But I did get a chance to see them ahead of time. So I did see them before anybody else did, and then would be able to correlate them to her abilities. The fact that she shoots different color fireworks is amazing and is probably one of my favorite features of her. So.
Okay. Yeah, so you've helped build a champion. You've also done nodes for the what is it? The Women's Boss Rush.
The
What
International Women's Day Boss Rush? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So what was that like, and what kind of nodes did you put on your fights?
I went in with the intent to make everyone hate me, and it was fun. My goal was always to make very difficult and yet memorable fights. So I've done 2 for the International Women's Day Boss Rush, and then I did one along with the podcast for just a content creator boss rush that was done. So first one I ever did, if anybody remembers it, was the Domino that was unduped, that had permanent regeneration, the reduced tech effectiveness, and there was something else I don't remember that was very difficult for people to get through. So that was the first one. Domino had been my suggestion. I think 2 of the 3 nodes were also my suggestion. She was not a fun fight, and a lot of people hated me. It was great. So then I decided to up myself and use Rogue. So Rogue was the first International Women's Day boss rush, and she had, oh my gosh, I have to remember these off the top of my head. I would have pulled them up if I'd known. So she had Invade, and she had the node that kills you after, for up to 4 seconds after she uses a special. And she had aggression regeneration. So you could kill her by hitting into her block, but only if you did it fast enough before her aggression regeneration kicked in. But if she hit your block, you were dead. And the cool thing about that particular rogue was Seaton actually put up a video of him beating that rogue with a 2-star void. And so now, kind of challenging Seaton to do my fights with a 2-star is a thing. I've made it into a thing, and I really loved watching that. So, and then the most recent one is, I'm sure everybody's shocked to hear this, but Jubilee. So I, the intent of the Jubilee fight was to make you see as many fireworks as humanly possible, and I did. Every live stream that I watched of a YouTuber, I think she killed successfully at least 1 champion. So she had things like feats of power, she had power snack, she had another power gain node that I don't remember off the top of my head, and then she had insta-death upon L3. So what usually happened was one of the criteria for the power gain node got met, someone didn't notice, and she zoomed right up to an L3, and boom, someone was dead. I think Seaton's Doom and Sunspot both got exploded the first time he tried to do the run, so that was very satisfying. So those were the 3 different fights that I had a hand in creating, and let me tell you, you don't appreciate, or most people I would say would be a better way to phrase that, don't appreciate how difficult it is to kind of build a fight that is not only effective, but doable, has a set of counters. When we design our fights, one of the requirements is that we have to have a list of counters. Like, they actually ask us, like, hey, what's your intent with this fight, and what are some of the counters that you see working, so that they can then turn around and play test it and make sure that actually is the case. Jubilee was actually more difficult. She had a node on her called Disarray, which is basically chaos, but without the power lock. the feedback I initially got from the fight from the playtesters was that I needed to take off disarray because that level of chaos made the fight way too difficult. I stuck to my guns. I kept it. Against advice, I kept it. And that ended up being one of the most iconic things about the fight. So, but the whole, like, you design it, they test it, you make edits, you make updates. I didn't make many edits to my original fight because I'd done this before, so I had some experience with it. But as a whole, a lot of the other folks that I worked with did say, okay, well, maybe can we put this in instead of this? Or, what about this working better than this? Or the original design of the fight, I think everyone would have gone absolutely crazy with. You would have had to power lock her probably with magic or you wouldn't have beat her. It's kind of the original version of her fight. So
Yeah.
she's watered down a bit from there.
She was really tough, not only for me, but for everybody, I'm sure. But yeah, so there was a little bit of a controversy with that. You guys picked all women champions. Did you guys have that planned, or is that something you guys wanted to do from the beginning?
Great question. Thank you for asking that. So in the first International Women's Day Boss Rush, when they gathered us all together and they said, okay, hey, we're going to do this thing. We want you to design fights. I don't remember who. One of us spoke up and said, hey, what if we made all the fights women? And I was like, yes, let's do that. Heck yes. 100% in for that. So we decided to make all the fights women. To pretty resounding success, I think, last year. And then this year, we just decided to continue that tradition. To be perfectly blunt, Kabam doesn't require that. Like, they don't say you have to make, female fights. You have to use female champions. There's none of that. We had an option to do pretty much whatever we want. It's a tradition that we wanted to do. And next year, I think they're hoping to do a couple of other things. I know we tossed out a lot of ideas to them. Everything from like a monthly Alliance War buff where female champions get an attack increase or something like that. And, hey, what if, all female champions got a buff from going into the quest or things like that. So there's a lot more I'd love to see them do with it. But what they do with it, and obviously promoting us, putting our names out there, there's all of the content that's created for the event. It's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So going back to the node creation, Jim just posted in the chat that you made a couple of nodes. Would you care to explain them?
I actually forgot I'd done these until Jim reshared them recently, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, I remember I did those. So this is back, I think it was after last year's International Women's Day Boss Rush, or somewhere in there. So I came up with two separate nodes, one called Heartless, and then the other called the Stud Club. So Heartless was for every female champion on the attacker's team, the attacker gains a stacking passive fury for every 10 seconds, raising the attack rating by 10% each. For every member of the attacker's team that is not female, the opponent gains a stacking passive fury every 5 seconds, raising attack rating by 10% each. So basically, you bring in an all-lady team, or you're going to be facing an opponent who hits hard enough to leave your head spinning. And truthfully, part of me just wanted to see like how big some of the big yellow numbers could get with a buff like that. Obviously there'd need to be a max. I don't have a max built into the node, but I'd love to see a max of like 50. Right. What does that look like? Be like a Magneto with all his prowesses. How big could that yellow number get? And then the other was the Stud Club, which is basically the male equivalent. So it's for every male champion on the attacker's team, the attacker gains a passing fury. But for every member of the attacker's team that's not male, the opponent gains a stacking passive fury. So it's basically the same thing, but with men instead of women. So I wanted there to be one of each, because I thought that was fair. And I just love the names. Heartless and the Stud Club are just funny to me.
Yeah, so do you think there's any way these nodes could be built into the game?
Well, I don't think Heartless can be in the game only because of branding. Heartless is actually their characters from Kingdom Hearts, so I don't think that'll actually work. As much as I would love to see them in the game, I do think if looking back at it, knowing what I know now, after more CCP involvement, after getting to work with one of the designers, after having talked to the quest designers a lot more in the past year, I would love to edit them, like give them a max, basically. I think that's one thing they're really lacking. I also think that the just boosting base attack rating isn't really gonna do too much. I would like to do something else, essentially. Maybe a stacking prowesses, just get some huge yellow numbers on those special attacks, or something equivalent. So I'd keep the basic premise of the node, like female champions versus male champions, but I think I'd probably update the node to fit closer to what exists today, rather than try to kind of stick to my original vision, if only because it'd be more likely to get made, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, so with creating nodes and stuff like that, you're part of the Futurism Society. Have you created anything for the Futurism Society that you can talk about?
I can feel the side eye that I'm gonna get from Jim and other Gabe on this, but um, I have. I can't talk about it too much because it's not fun. Um, but the tournament they're currently running, other Gabe, had originally approached me with an idea, and unfortunately, between moving and life being life as happens, I wasn't able to complete the idea and suggestion with enough time to make it a part of this tournament. But that being said, I still want to complete what they asked me to do, just because I think it goes along really well with the tournament that they're doing. So, yes, there is something that I am creating. It's not like I don't want anybody to be too crazy excited. Jim does the champ redesigns, and so does other Gabe, and so do other members of the society. I'm doing something completely different, something that none of them have done yet. And the community may be interested in it, and they may not be, but it's just something that is well suited for my skill set. We'll say that, and is something I'm having a lot of fun doing. So that was very vague, and I'm sorry. Apologies for the vagueness, but I don't want to spoil it for those who aren't in the know.
Okay. So you do some writing for Marvel Contest of Champions. Care to talk a little bit about that?
I have had the chance to do some of that, which was super cool. So, over the summer, as part of Summoner Showdown, Kabam approached me and basically said the same thing, like, "Hey, you're a writer. Do you want to be basically our reporter, to summarize some of the Summoner Showdown stuff that's going on?" And of course, I said yes. I've always wanted to try to do something like that, and the intent was basically to write the equivalent of esports articles for the Summoner Showdown, which is basically what I did. And I had a ton of fun with that. It was really cool to not only see like some of the inside stats and then get to share them with all you guys. The poor sap out there who decided to beat the first two showdown fights with Groot, for example, and other stuff along those lines. So seeing stats like that was really cool. Also getting the chance to work with some of the Kabam team. I obviously know the community moderators really well, so getting to work with them, and just kind of like, hey, getting a nice peek behind the curtain was super cool as a part of that event. And the really nice thing about it was they let me kind of keep my voice. So if you read those articles, if I did my job right, it would sound like something I'd read off on the podcast, or, a conversation that I'd be having with someone talking about all of the information that was disclosed. I will say, there's a couple things that I didn't know about and now know very well as a result of writing with them, which is small things. Like, you always have to capitalize the word champion. You always have to capitalize ability names. You always have to capitalize like buff and debuff. Things like that. I didn't take into account how much we write that stuff on the regular until I had to make sure I was capitalizing all of that as a part of it. So it was a fun little like kind of lesson for how to do this type of technical writing for Kabam in some capacity, because that's a requirement of everything that they post. So that was a fun little kind of tidbit for me to learn about. So.
Okay. So, who did you interview for the Summoner Showdown?
So I interviewed all 8 semifinalists. So
Oh, okay.
I had the pleasure of basically sitting down and saying, "Cool, here are my questions for you. Please answer them." Since we had some folks who didn't speak English as their first language, it was all a written interview. So that way they could answer it in their time and take time formulating responses for clarity. But I got a chance to talk to all of them and just say, "Hey, I'm here to hype you guys up. I'll ask follow-up questions if I have them, and I'm just here to make you look cool." So I had the chance to see and talk with all of them, which was phenomenal. Cheer them on, which was really cool. And then obviously after the semifinals and finals were over, write summaries of each of them and watch their picks and bans faces live with everybody else. And that was, really fantastic. So,
Awesome. So you have talked to a few of the Kabam members. Is there anything that like Easter eggs that you caught while they were talking that could be like projected into the game?
give me an example of like what that would be from your perspective.
Did Kabam Gabe or anybody say anything to you regarding the game that could possibly happen?
Yes, I can't talk about it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I will say that so especially some of the Summoner Showdown stuff, just like there was some stuff that didn't happen just because of timing and obviously with the pandemic and everything going on that I know they wanted to do and might do in the future. So I can't talk about it because they might still do it. Um, but obviously with COVID and everything, some stuff didn't happen that they might have wanted to do, and I don't know if they still plan to do it, but in case they do, um there's some pretty cool stuff that could still come around the bend.
Okay. JX, you got anything over there?
Sorry, I just came back. What were you guys just talking about?
We were just talking about if Gabe has or anybody from Kabam has said anything projecting the future of the game.
Oh, okay. Well, since we're talking about the future of the game, let's talk about hopefully a character coming to the game this year. Not confirmed, just there's a place on the State of Battle map which it looks like to be Kitty Pryde, and I was curious on what Dragon has to say and what you would like to see from a Kitty Pryde kit.
Ooh. Okay, so first off, I know. Believe me, the second I saw the State of the Battle Realm, and Deacon and I both looked at each other, proverbially, of course, and we both went, "Ooh, we know who that is. Ooh, we know who that is." We really, really, really hope it's Kitty Pryde. So I would love a couple of things. I would love to see her have a miss functionality, a la Ghost and or Invisible Woman. I would actually love to see her miss functionality actually better than both of theirs, respectively. I think it should be something like Hood's invisibility in terms of cooldown. I absolutely think she should have that functionality. I also think that she should be able to somehow use that to her advantage. Miss tends to be a very defensive ability, which is fine and I think works well functionally for the game. But I'd see how that kind of function could be used offensively too. And I really want to see Kabam kind of take that and say, what could we do with a character who is, able to walk through walls? What does that mean when you're fighting her? Does that mean she hits harder because she hits into you? Does that mean that she can have guaranteed critical hits because the other champion can't hit her? What does that look like, sound like, and feel like? So I absolutely want her to have a miss functionality. I want her to have some awesome mutant synergies because there are some phenomenal ones. I'm gonna horseman her no matter what because I have a rank 2 APOC. And I look forward to seeing what that looks and feels and sounds like. And then last but not least, I'd like to see her be suicide friendly. So we'll see. We'll see. But I am super excited for Kitty Pryde. She was one of my favorite characters from the X-Men cartoons, and along with Rogue and Jubilee. Yeah, I definitely don't like all the women. Like, that's not obvious at all. But so along with Rogue and Jubilee, she was always one of my favorites, and I'm super excited to potentially see her joining the game.
Awesome. So do you think that the Silver Centurion bots could be like an introduction into the graphics of Lockheed?
I do think so. And Gabe, ex Gabo on Twitter has hinted at as much, and kind of like vaguely referenced it, and just enough to kind of keep hope alive. So I do think that I don't know if it'll be through Silver Centurion or something else, but I do think that's coming. We are lacking right now, kind of like the next big automated boss, whoever that is. Obviously we had the Sentinelloids. Obviously we've had the Doombots. Obviously we've also had the Ultron clones. Like, I want to see the next set of robots show up in the game, or characters, I should say, not just robots, show up in the game, and I think that's definitely possible. So we'll see.
Okay. So, who did you vote for in the summoner choice?
Oh, Morgan Le Fay. Dragons, dude. Morgan has a dragon. Like, who else am I gonna vote for? Of course, I voted for Morgan Le Fay. So yeah, I voted for Morgan Le Fay, and then when she didn't get through, it was sad. Really sad. And then I voted for Omega Sentinel for the next couple rounds because the tech class needs more tech champions. I'm actually sad Hercules won. I know he has a lot of comic connections. I know he has a lot of like really cool storylines, and as a storyteller myself, I'm excited to see him join the contest from that perspective. But like, I didn't really want another big muscular dude joining the contest. Like, we've got plenty. is kind of my take on things. I mean, obviously his abilities will be awesome and cool, and I love the video series that Dave, Dorky Diggity Dave, is doing with Kabam about Hercules. So I think that's a really fantastic peek behind the curtain that I'm excited to see more of. But as a champion, I wish Omega Sentinel really would have beat Hercules. So.
Okay. Do you think there's a future spot for Omega Sentinel?
I think so. I don't think it'll be this year.
Yeah, it for sure won't be this year. They said that all these champions will come to the game at some point, just not in 2021. The ones who lost.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
So yes, I definitely do.
All right. So there's another vote going on. The buff vote.
Yeah.
So who are you going to be voting for the new buffs?
Guillotine.
Guillotine. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So, part of that is because, so Guillotine, I've had a Guillotine on my team in some capacity for AQ since my map 3 days. Like, going way back when Groot was the map 3 mini boss, like way back in that those old days. And I used to bring Guillotine 29, or not Guillotine 29, Guillotine, because I loved her ability to heal. She could do solid damage. She had decent crits. She had the ability to regen reverse, which was nice. And she could heal. So I didn't have a Wolverine. I never picked up a 4-star Wolverine until January of this year. So my first 4-star Wolverine was January of this year. So I never had a really good like regen option. So Guillotine was that option. So I used to take her into AQ. I have an R4 right now. And I love her to pieces. I still love using her anytime I have to grind with her. She's just, to me, a fun champ who needs a little bit of a rework of a kit. And as someone who's driving the main plot of Kabam's kind of like story right now, I think she's probably the most, in terms story-wise, could benefit from it. So, Guillotine is going to be my vote. Now, that's not to say, by the way, that I don't think the other champions need a little love, because everybody on that list does, straight up. But my vote personally will be for Guillotine, because hey, there's no such thing as too many, awesome ladies in the contest. Facts.
Yeah. So somebody in chat brought up a good point. Why is nobody voting for Kamala Khan? She's been up for buffs votes for the 3rd time now, right?
Yeah, she's been in all 3 community votes.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a theory. And I think part of it is because everyone wants at least one meme tier champion to stay meme tier. I honestly think there's some of it, because if you think about all the OG meme tier champions, right? You had Luke Cage, you had Colossus, Yeah, like they're all getting remakes. They're all getting upgrades. You know, you're just seeing this slow inching, like, you know, now Howard's got a buff, you know, Old Man Logan has a buff. Like you're seeing this slow increase of all the former meme tier champions getting better and better and better. So, you know, it's one of those things where I'm like, I would like to see a Kamala Khan buff only because I think all three Miss Marvel's kits are too similar. But I think the other two Miss Marvels need updates long before Kamala Khan, personally. Because at
Okay.
least Kamala Khan's buff is, or excuse me, her kit is different than the other two. The other two are identical, literally. Like, there's a tiny difference, and that's it, other than visuals. So, I think the other two Miss Marvels need updates way before she does.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. You got anything else over there, Jax?
Yeah. So what's one character you'd like to add to the game?
Oh god, I have to pick. Okay, so not counting Morgan Le Fay, I want to see Kate Bishop, who I am very much hoping we will see when the Hawkeye series comes out. So fingers crossed that that's a thing, and I get to see her in the game. But Kate Bishop would be another champion I would love. I just love Hawkeye as a hero. He's my favorite Avenger. I did the 5-star arena grind for Ronan because obviously he's also Hawkeye. And I would absolutely grind for Kate Bishop as well. So I have Matt Fraction's Hawkeye comics actually sitting about 2 feet from me because I do love Hawkeye, and that's one of the few editions of comics I will keep physical copies of because I love them so much. So Hawkeye is my favorite Avenger. Is who I would pick. So Kate Bishop, hands down.
Yeah, that's cool. She has a little solo thing in the Avengers game on Xbox and stuff like that. She
Yeah.
like teleports and stuff like that. She would be super dope.
Well, I think it'd be really cool, and I think you guys know that like Deacon and I have been advocating for a Hawkeye buff with different arrows for like
Oh yeah.
2.5 years now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when Deacon and I have been advocating for that long enough that when it finally happens, we're taking full credit for it. Like, we've both agreed. Just because we've been talking about it for so long. But I would just love to see something like that with Kate Bishop, because that's like her shtick. So I really want to see that. I want to see a Hawkeye get True Strike. Like, they never miss. Why don't they have True Strike? I want to see, you know, just them go a little bit wild with giving them a proper skill champion kit. Please. Like, please. So.
Yeah, for sure. So what kind of alliance do you run in? Like
Fishing for info? No, I'm kidding.
no,
No,
just like
I'm just teasing. I'm teasing.
maps and AQ or war.
Yeah. No, you're good. So we are an AQ focused alliance. We run top 90. So we run 5 days of map 7. All 3 BGs. We run 3 days of epic mods, and war we just don't care. So tier 6 and below, we just clear the whole map. Tier 5, we boss rush going left side. So we finish gold 1 every single war and have no problem with that. So we are an alliance that's focused on ranking as high as possible in AQ. And, you know, war is just, hey, free shards. We used to be an alliance that focused on both war and Alliance Quest, and it burned out a lot of our members way too fast. So we were just like, no, we're good. So we decided to pick one of the two to focus on, chose AQ, and have been that way ever since. So I've been running map 7 for over a year now, I think. So
Yeah, so are you a boss killer in your BG?
no, well, in Alliance War, yes. In Alliance Quest, no.
Okay.
I went to go say no straight up, and I'm like, well, it's not entirely true. So, the mini bosses in AQ, the champions that you have to bring to counter them, I really can't make any of them work with my lanes, and most of my lanes aren't too championable. Some of them some of them I could maybe make do with it, but they're not really kind of built for it. So what I prefer to do is either take a few extra fights so someone else can bring a mini boss killer, or pick up a harder path and then say, yep, I'll take care of this. Please bring a mini boss killer, because I don't want to. But then in Alliance War, I'll run a whole side boss lane. No problem. Like, it doesn't phase me in the slightest in Alliance War. So I regularly take the poison and incinerate immunity. I've taken the boss. I can take the whole right side. I can take the left side if I've brought the right champions without a problem. So yeah, I don't mind taking the Alliance War bosses, but Alliance Quest isn't... I can take APOC. I don't love taking APOC, but I can take APOC and have. But I don't take the mini-boss. So.
Okay. So, who is your favorite champion and who is your not-so-favorite champion?
Okay, well, hold on. Do you want favorite champion to fight with, or do you want, like, favorite champion just to play, or what do you want?
Just to play with overall.
Ooh, okay. Oh, I would feel so typical if I said Jubilee. Okay. I would, and it's because her kit is still new, and I love that about her. So, okay. So favorite champion to play though is probably, okay, I'll give it a tie. So it's a tie between Captain Sparkles, and so Captain Movie Marvel, for those of you who don't know her nickname, and now I'm like, is that really a tie? But yeah, it is. And Domino would be my other one. So, and as much as I love Jubilee, I do adore Jubilee. There is something to be said when you line up lucky and unlucky and a stun, and then you hit those massive yellow numbers with Domino. There's just something that never gets old about that. I grinded for Domino the first time she came around in the 5-star arena, back when I didn't even have any 565s, and she was my first 565, and I was actually the Domino duel back in the day because I ranked her the second I got her. I did 66.6 or 66.61 million for her.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of points and a lot of money. I didn't know what the heck I was doing back then. But she was worth it. And ever since then, I have loved playing Domino. Like, Domino is my answer for so many things that other people just kind of don't think about it as an option. Like the side quest this month, everything I'm doing, I'm taking in Domino, I'm taking in Rolk, and I'm taking in Clairvoyant. Those are my 3. I have a 565 SIG 200 Domino, and I have a rank 3 6-star Domino. So, you know, I absolutely love playing with Domino. And then Captain Sparkles, same deal. Also did the arena for her. But for her, I love that everyone underestimated her in the beginning and then realized how good she was. Like, she, compared to Nick Fury, she was super underrated. No one knew anything about her. Everyone thought she wasn't going to be that good. And then everyone started playing with her and was like, holy crap, she hits super hard. Holy crap, free armor breaks. Holy crap. Like, it was just like a cascade of people realizing just how good she was. So I love seeing champions melt under her. I love being able to chain heavies with her in the corner, and just keep up your binary for as long as you possibly could imagine, and just seeing characters straight up melt for her. So she is a ton of fun. So those would probably be my 2 favorite to play. And then the least favorite, okay. I'm like mentally going through my list. Oh god, Airwalker. God, I hate fighting with Airwalker, and it makes me sad because he looks so cool.
Yeah, his
Oh
special
my gosh,
animation is so cool.
he is so cool, and I'm just like, the second he comes up in my 5-star roster, I'm like, oh no, no. I'm literally sitting there just going, I don't want this. Why do I have this? So, I will say a close second, because I have to run him every single time I run my 5 stars, is Ebony Maw. I hate him so much.
All right.
So those would be my 2. I hate.
So, what champion do you have the most trouble fighting against?
Oh, that's a great question. Probably Mojo, because I'm not paying enough attention and I always end up getting degenerated. if I had to hazard a guess. I don't have a problem with Nick Fury. He's pretty tried and true. I fight APOC enough in a queue that I don't have too much trouble with him. But for some reason, Mojo, and I just also passionately hate Mojo, so that's kind of the other half of this. Which everyone on Twitter is well aware of how much I hate Mojo, because every time there's a Mojo post, like 10 people tag me, like, "Hey Dragon, look, it's Mojo." I love and I hate all of you. So yeah, he's not fun. I also don't like fighting Killmonger. Like, that would be the other one. And honestly, it's all that reverb damage. It's just like, I'm not paying enough attention. Oh wait, I'm half dead. What just happened? And that's really easy with Killmonger.
Yeah, it's easy to do with Black Panther Civil War too. You just parry and then you're stunned and then you're like, oh shit, then I'm dead.
You're like, oh no, he had armor. Oh crap.
Yeah.
and then you are nothing but regret. So honorable mention for like the giant boss rush that was not too long ago, Mysterio. God, I hate Mysterio too, fighting him. Because every once in a while I'll just be going to town on him and then I'll realize, oh wait, I'm about to get all of this damage right back on me if I don't kill him, and then I'm dead. And it's so annoying.
Okay. Jax, you got anything over there, bud?
Yeah, so you are CCP, and I have a question. Is there anything you'd like to see improved from the CCP?
So are you talking about improving in terms of what our relationship with Kabam is, or from the other CCP members?
Just your personal, like, what would you specifically like to either be added to the CCP or improved from the CCP? Just something you would like to be improved.
I would love to see more CCP members actively criticize Kabam. If you were going to ask me for one thing, I would say the CCP as an entity gets a lot of I hate all of you putting the Mojo pictures in the chat right now. The CCP gets a lot of flack for being like Kabam's advertisers, and oh, we're just here to make everything look good and cool, and look at all these shiny champs at super high ranks, and I would love for people to realize that we do criticize Kabam quite a bit. Just because you guys don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. I can tell you that every single major community blow up in probably the last 6 months, the CCP brought to Kabam. And we said, hey, not okay, or hey, are we going to do anything about this? Or hey, what's going on with this? Just because you guys don't see it doesn't mean that, the community isn't being advocated for. So I would just love to see more CCP members kind of do what, Janik does it, I do it, Bagel does it, Royal does it. When Kabam does something we don't agree with, like, we don't shy away from saying that on the podcast. We say that straight up, almost on the regular. Like, hey, we think this was badly done, or hey, we think this wasn't communicated well, or, hey, we don't think this was the right thing to do in this scenario. Deacon's joking that he stays silent, and that's because you're so busy connecting, you have to stay silent. But I think none of us really hesitate to say when we don't agree with something that Kabam's done, and I don't think enough of the CCP does that. On the flip side, I would love to see Kabam involve the community more. I loved my chance getting to help design a champion. I thought that was amazing. I want more people to have that experience, because you see so much more and have so much more appreciation for how the back end works as a result. I would love more people to be involved in boss rushes, because you really understand, like, how hard it is to design a tough but not too tough node when you've had to sit and do it yourself. It's one thing to throw a whole bunch of nightmare nodes all on top of each other, which is great, but like, what does that experience look and feel and sound like? Can you beat it? Who are your solutions? Great. What about the less than ideal solution? What does that look and feel and sound like? It's a challenge in really appreciating some of the stuff they deal with and some of the stuff they go through. So I would love to see more of that sort of. So, yeah, sorry, that was a really long answer, but
So have they talked about releasing the buffs to the CCP members before they go out to test?
you mean like the new champ buffs?
Yeah.
Yes. The only reason that's not happening yet is logistical concerns on the back end with how the access to the PTR, which is the server, the test server that we all have. There's logistical concerns with getting the update in place so we can then look at the updated champs. So it's not that they don't want to give us those champs, they do, but the tech isn't there to let it happen. So I know that's something they're working on, and they're very vested in making happen for us, but there's some tech stuff they got to sort out.
Okay. So they just got to update that server before or whatever. I don't know. It sounds pretty.
I was going to say, it's not quite that simple.
Yeah.
I wish it was.
Yeah.
There's a lot of manual loading that's involved, and when you have, 60 to 70 manual accounts you have to load, it just becomes a lot of time.
Right.
So again, I know that is a common request. Believe me, it's a common request, not just from the community, but from us. Like, we ask for this regularly. So it's not just the community asking for that. We're asking for that too. It's just the tech right now is the holdup. So fingers crossed that we get to do it soon, though, because I know we all want to.
Yeah. So what kind of content do you have left? Have you done any of your Paths in the Abyss?
Oh my god, I'm so glad you asked this question. Okay, so, okay, and the reason why I'm so glad you asked this question is because I am so bad about doing content. Like, you can ask J-Nick. Like, J-Nick had to shame me into doing the content that I've done. You laugh. I'm actually not kidding. The only reason I have some variants done is because of J-Nick's shame in me. And it's true. Okay, so, in a list. I still need to complete variant 1. I haven't touched variant 1. I have done a single path of variant 2. I haven't finished it yet. I have variant 3, 4, and 5 done. I have not touched 6 or 7. Oh my goodness. Okay, in terms of Abyss, I have... Okay, so here's the really shameful part. You ready? I have all of the horsemen, all of them, at rank 5. I have all of the horsemen duped. I have all of the horsemen, or I have the ability to bring all of the horsemen to Sig 200. I don't have a single Abyss path done. And then I only have a... Let's see, I have a single path through all of Act 6 done. I have a couple extra paths in 6.1, but that doesn't really count. So I have a single path through all of Act 6 done. And for everyone cringing in the chat and listening to this after the fact, who I know are, the thing I would tell you is that you don't have to rush through doing all of that content. I'm in an alliance that regularly gets tier 5 CC. I'm Thronebreaker. I have 3 rank 3 with that, considering one of them is a 620 duped ghost. And I very much have the champions I need to sit down and buzz through the content. I just need the time more than anything else. Like, I have a rank 3 duped ghost. I can do pretty much all of Act 6 with her alone. So it's one of those things where I really just need to sit down and do them more than anything else. So that's the content that I have done, which is probably a longer answer than you were expecting, but I love that question because then everyone realizes like how little I've actually done, and I'm like, hey, I'm still trucking along, keeping up with the rest of you. I'm fine.
Right. So, you said how much have you done in Act 7?
Oh, Act 7, I've done a single run through of the first chapter. So.
Okay. Yeah, so they released the spring cleaning event on Friday. What are your thoughts on that?
So I love the spring cleaning event. Last year, I bought everything. I whaled out last year. And part of the reason, to be fair, I whaled out last year was that I was anticipating doing an Aegon grind because I didn't have Aegon. And I was going to put up 90 million points for him. And then I pulled him from a basic crystal the day before the arena started. So I I had 18,000 units literally on hand. So I then used that over a series of arenas and buying exclusive 2-star crystals after that. But so I completely wiped out the store last year. So this year, I really love it. I don't love the idea that the what is it, tier 3 basic, or no, sorry, tier 6 basic, and the next level tier 3 alpha are both out in the spring cleaning store first. I don't love that, but at the same time, you got to give the spender something to chase. You got to give the spender something to shoot for, and rank 4s are exactly that for most of them. I'm still in a place where I'm quite happy chasing rank 3s, and I have no problem with that. I do think I would like to see that show up in content now. Like, I want to see those materials show up in content, and be available in content, not just in purchasable amounts. Outside of that, I am planning to pick up some of the offers, just small ones, but I need more tier 1 alphas, so I'm definitely going to be indexing on the tier 1 alpha offers, and I'm going to be running the arena, obviously, so I can get more of the minted Deadpool coins. Yeah, as a whole, I think they're a good, like, account equalizer. Like, someone who's behind and desperately needs certain things can pick them up. Obviously you get some free doubloons, which are nice, so you don't need to have to pay. And there's an arena, which I think is pretty cool too. So yeah, I like it as an event.
Did you pick up any of the 6 stars? The 6-star Nexuses?
The Nexuses? No, I have not bought them yet. I will. Picked up the 6-star basics and the calves. Right now I'm a little light on ISO. Part of that's because I'm hoarding right now, thanks to Deegan. But I'm a little light on ISO, so the more calves I can pick up, the better. So.
Okay. Yeah. So, JX, you got anything else, bud?
Yeah. So you talked about obviously the new catalyst coming into the game for obviously rank 4, 6 stars, and an event that could obviously, you said you want to see this in game, is probably Summer of Pain, something that we had last year, which they pushed back because they had just so much content. And is that something? What would you like to see from Summer of Pain? I think there's a couple community fights. Like some people, from what I remember, some fights were designed by the CCP, and some have maybe said that the Scarlet Witch we haven't playable in the game is going to be a trophy champ from that. So I'm curious to what you would like to see from that.
I hope Scarlet Witch is on a trophy champ, because darn it, I want to grind for her. First and foremost. That's probably the most important point to start with. Is I want that Switch, so I will get her. I don't care how it happens. I bought the pieces for Platpool, and I have a Platpool for the same reason. I will get her. So Summer of Pain is not something I will be participating in. Something I talk about when I jokingly talk about Abyss runs. I don't do Abyss because I don't have the champions. I don't do Abyss because I physically can't. I don't even have LOL done. I don't have Labyrinth of Legends done. I have a single run done. And the reason I have a single run done, and the reason I don't touch Abyss, is because when I did my one run of Lab, I hurt my hand to the point where I couldn't use my left hand for 3 days. I have pretty severe carpal tunnel. Doing those long, extended fights basically destroys my hand. It's also why I can't Quake very well, because I can't do that constant swiping back. It hurts my hands physically. So going in and doing an Abyss fight and like trying to run out the timer on an Abyss fight, like that just makes me hurt thinking about it. As it is, like the Act 7, Act 6 fight lengths are about as long as I can physically do a fight without being in pain. And even then, if I do multiple Act 6 paths in a day, I'm hurting. Like, if I try to do all of Cav in one run, my hands hurt afterward. Like, and you're talking to a girl, by the way, who regularly does 5-star featured grinds, so, like, it's not the same. Doing fights, where I can stretch between fights, I can flex my hand, I can flex my wrist, is not the same as sitting in a single fight and doing a single fight for minutes at a time. It's a very different type of stress to put on your hands. So, with that being said, that's why I won't do an event like Summer of Pain. Not because I don't want to, but because it is actually a physical limitation for me. And I can tell you, when Abyss came out, and it was like going to be the only source of Tier 5 CC, I was very loud and very passionate in my feedback to Kabam saying, you need to put tier 5 CC somewhere else in the game because I physically cannot do Abyss. So what am I going to do to advance in the game in order to move forward with my account if I can't do Abyss? So, and I've had a bunch of people tell me, oh, just do one fight at a time, take your time, and that's all very, valid advice, but it's a little bit too physically painful for me to do those fights. And even if it's in like a 5-day period, it's still too risky for me to injure my wrists. So, which is an answer you probably weren't expecting when you asked this question. But I'm looking forward to the Summer of Pain. I'm looking forward to watching Legacy and Brian Grant and MSD and everyone else try to buzz through it and laugh at their pain because I have no interest in it myself. And I want to watch them enjoy it because it's content that's built for them. It's not content that's built for me. And I'm okay with that. So that would be my answer to the Summer of Pain.
Yeah. So you guys were at the New York Comic Con the last year they had it. What was that like covering it?
Oh, I love NYCC. So, quick caveat: I've been to more than 30 conventions over the past 15 years of my life. So I have done a lot of conventioning. I also staff a convention, so I have a lot of experience with them. And even still, going to NYCC is just so much fun. You don't understand really the scale of the event until you walk into the Javits, and then you're like, whoa. And the thing is, it's not even one floor of the Javits, it's multiple floors of the Javits. And the Javits is a block long. Like, you really don't appreciate it until you walk in and you see wall-to-wall people. You see 10,000 people in the same room as you. It's crazy. So the scale of it is just something I think people don't realize. And that's probably one of the coolest things. And, hanging out at the MCOC booth, most of us spent the weekend at the MCOC booth. Like, that was the thing. And it's just really cool. It's just cool. I see Captain Bay, I see Seaton, I see Brian Grant, I hang out with Laura Grant. Obviously Starfire is also there, other members of the podcast were there. Royal was there. Bagel was there. It's a nonstop parade of all these people that that you interact with, but that, in any other circumstance, you'd never get to meet. It was just so cool. Dan from Frontline was another person I've had the pleasure of meeting. I've met Keldor, who's Duck Slug. I met Brutal DL Lab. I've met so many people from the community at NYCC. And again, normally they're just names on the other side of a Discord message or a line chat or a YouTube video. And to see them in person is just, there's nothing quite like it. And it was really fun. I was tweeting most of the weekend and tweeting out updates for all of the Showdown event that was going on. And, I had stickers with me for the podcast. So I was like, hey, if you want to come get a sticker, find the girl with the purple hair. So I was basically like, and I did have very purple hair. So like, it really actually was easy to find. I was one of the few ladies and I had purple hair. So, it was pretty cool to just be like, hey, come find the chick with purple hair. I have stickers. I'll give them away. So, that was just a pretty cool thing all weekend, was like directing people to come find me and meeting some of our listeners. Which again, mind-blowing. Like, I had these people who I've never met before come up and say, oh my god, I love the podcast. I had at least 2 people standing in line listening to like Royal and I talk, or Seaton and I talk, or someone else and I talk, and go, hey, I recognize your voice. Which, let me tell you, that's a weird experience. It's awesome, but it's weird.
Yeah. So, do you think there's going to be one this year? Or if not this year, do you think you'll be attending the next New York Comic Con?
I probably won't go this year. But and I also don't know that Kabam will. I know NYCC right now, based on what Reed Pop is saying, is still going to happen. I don't realistically see it happening, at least, and definitely not to the scale that it has in the past. You're talking about an event that has, more than 10 to 15,000 people. I mean, I don't know that you could let like 2,000 people in and maintain social distancing. Like, I don't think that's realistic. So I probably won't go this year, but I have every intention of returning and going again. I've attended conventions for years, so I passionately love the communities in them. I don't need more, but I've done cosplaying in the past. I've always kind of loved that community and loved the people at them, and just having so much fun with a whole bunch of people who have a shared passion along with you. So I'll definitely be back, but I might not be there this year. So.
Okay. All right. JX, you got anything else over there?
Yeah, Ben. I would love to go to New York Comic Con. I've been wanting to go every year, but sadly I haven't. But I've been to other conventions, and yeah, like you said, like New York Comic Con is probably going to happen. But like you said, I don't think Kabam's going to be there for sure. So, and obviously, since we're talking about New York Comic Con, a game that was revealed at New York Comic Con was obviously Marvel Realm of Champions, and it's been out for a couple months. And are you still playing it?
I not daily.
Okay.
But I have a reason for that. And I have a reason that you might actually recognize. Okay, so I like Marvel Realm of Champions, but it's not my type of game, honestly. I don't enjoy HOTS. I don't enjoy League of Legends. Like, it's not really my type of game. It just hasn't been. And I think that's fair, to have a game not be your type of game. But on the flip side, there's a game that's in beta that I have been playing on a daily basis, and that I am absolutely searingly addicted to. And it's called Mirrorverse.
Ooh.
So, yeah, it's a Kabam game, and it's in beta, and it's so good. It's so good. I can't put this stupid thing down. And my only downfall right now is that I had to download it from the Canadian iTunes store. And so I can't buy stuff. So I can't give them money. Like, I'm literally the equivalent of the Fry gif right now saying, please take my money, and they can't. And it's really annoying. But that's the game I'm playing right now. So I've played Kingdom Hearts since the very first Kingdom Hearts came out. So, like, Disney characters, like, my thing. That's like my thing. Give me this. And it's Disney characters done in a style. It's not quite like Kingdom Hearts, but it's got that same kind of vibe. The music score is absolutely wonderful in the game. And the character designs are fantastic, and the gameplay is really good. So I'm having a ton of fun playing Mirrorverse, more so than Realm of Champions. So as cool as Realm of Champions is, and as much as I love the combined plot of the two games together, I've been playing Mirrorverse. So
that's pretty interesting. Like, I've definitely heard people who played Mirrorverse and played Realm that do like Mirrorverse better, which sucks. Like you said, like the story, I like Realm of Champions only for the story. And obviously we have Galactus, who is kind of like, we've been told, is not really going to be like, kind of, it's an event that happens in game. It's going to be that, but it's really the big reveal that we had this month was the Chrono Serpent. And how are you excited for this new big boss that we finally got, that was first revealed back in the Avengers Endgame event back in April 2019?
Yeah, that's so long ago. Oh my god. Thinking about that's pretty crazy. I'm psyched. Again, I'm an author. I have been for a very long time, and I love a good storyline, and this is a good storyline. And I am excited to see where this goes. I am excited to see what happens. I'm one of those people who actually bothers reading the story in, like, the event quests. Like, I'm that person who bothers reading it. So I'm excited for the story. I want to see where the story goes. I want to see what it sounds like. I want to see, where are they taking us? Like, they have all these really fascinating threads that are, like, just dropped all around. And I'm like, okay, which ones are you going to pick up? Which ones are you going to leave dropped? Tell me more, please. So that's kind of my mood right now. So that'd be my answer to that question.
That's awesome. Yeah, me and Mr. King and me working with the other game as well. I've actually reread the entire game's dialogue. It took me months.
But that's great.
Yeah.
But that's great. And again, like, you don't really appreciate it until you go back and, like, reread the whole thing, and then you're like, oh, this is interesting. Like, this ties together. Oh, hey. Like, you pick up all these little threads that they've been dropping, and you don't even realize it, and then you're like, dude. Like, if you appreciate a good story, you see the story being built, and it's so cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I 100% agree. It's so cool, and then even start like reminiscing it has been like so crazy. For like I was like, oh my god, this happened so long ago. And it's 100%. Yeah. But me and Mr. King, since we're talking about the story, we're actually building a document to kind of like I know you don't read, like most people don't read the dialogue, and so like for us who do read the dialogue and know the story of the game, let's educate people and let people know. Like obviously we have a new version of Kane coming to the game. We have the Chrono Serpent. We have a Galactus, which we've been told is like what I meant to say is like a disaster, like a natural disaster. Is what Kabam Gib has said. We've had like an original character from like the first New York Comic Con trailer called the End Game. Like it's so much plot line, so much. I'm so excited, and it's gonna be. Hopefully this year we might get something with the Chrono Serpent, I'm guessing, and then it'll continue on.
Fingers crossed. I would love to see it show up this year. I don't know if it will. Obviously, with the pandemic pushing everything back, who knows what could happen. But I'm hopeful, so we'll see.
What's like a storyline? Obviously, you talked about like the threads. We do know a new Guillotine storyline's coming. I think maybe something on Aegon's gonna be coming as well this year. What are you like most excited for as hopefully a future event happening this year?
I want to know more about Guillotine 2099. I want to know what's going to happen with her. You took the soul out of Morningstar. It was a tortured soul, and then you're giving Guillotine 2099's body, and like, what happens? What's next? Like, yeah, like that's probably the storyline that I'm most invested in because like you could do anything, and I'm like, oh my god, like the possibilities here are endless. Give me something. So don't get me wrong, like I'm excited for the Guillotine storyline and I'm excited for the Aegon storyline, but like, what is going to happen to Guillotine 2099? And, to Mr. King's point, like, Mephisto was involved, and now I'm like, what's going to happen with Mephisto? What's going on over here? And it's just really cool. Again, there's threads everywhere, and they're all kind of building up into the story, and I'm just like, cool! And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, as the Madden Jim pointed out, we kind of have, like, this basically tease of a Latvian guillotine. Obviously, we know Queen Hassan, Morningstar, before she got thrown into basically right after she got thrown in that, a guillotine from Latveria was the next guillotine after her. And we've seen art of this character from right after Morningstar. And so I'm guessing this is going to have to do with the guillotine event happening this year. So what would you like to see? Yeah. What would you like to see from, obviously, a Latvian guillotine? What does that even entail? What would you like to see?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so are you asking me from like a kit perspective, or are you asking me from a like storyline perspective? Because the answers are different.
I guess you can say both.
All right, fine. Okay, so from a kit perspective, I want to see some of like Doom's capabilities. It doesn't have to be like identical to Dr. Doom, but give me some of the like crit resist. Give me some of the like. Give me something that indicates they come from the same place, just to like tie them storyline wise together. Because I do think there's like a history aspect there for it. I want to see her. I really want to see more with like the soul stealing aspect. Like they gave Guillotine 2099, and like Guillotine herself even talks about it through like the Act 4 dialogue about how like her blade gets hungry and she has to fight in order to feed it, and like that's a whole thing throughout all of Act 4. And I want to see that actually become part of like the kit. I think there's a whole aspect of that that's currently not being utilized. So I want to see that become a part of the kit. Like, how can you take some of the stuff that's been given to Guillotine 2099 and then put that into this new character? So, those are probably two really big things I would love to see. And yeah, they're probably my biggest asks. And then from a storyline perspective, okay, so a couple of things I want to know. We obviously have characters from alternate timelines that exist in the contest, like that's a whole thing. I also want to like see how the timelines are converging and like what's happening. So obviously the Battle Realm has like all of these different timelines that have kind of come smashed together and they're all mixed up and all sorts of stuff. So tell me more about the timeline that she's from, when she was brought here, who brought her here, how she ended up here, what are her goals? What is she trying to achieve? Is she trying to get out like a whole bunch of the other champions? Is she trying to stay in and go after somebody? Like, what's happening? How is it happening? Etc. Like, I want to know just more about her and her motivations and what she's striving for. more than anything else. So.
Oh yeah, man, those are definitely the questions I would love to be answered. So it said Kabam Gabe basically he responded to CT, obviously. He instantly put the two dots together that she's connected to Doom. And he basically said that this character shares the same history with Doom. Her identity is a lot weirder than simply being a part of the main guillotine lineage. So there's definitely some uniqueness.
There's something there.
Yeah.
There's something there, and I want to know what it is. Yes.
Yeah, you talked about the obviously we have different time is super crazy in the battle realm. I mean, there's really no explanation to it.
What are timelines? What are timelines? They don't exist.
Yeah, so if she does come from an alternate timeline, it'd be so cool. I think the last time we saw that was with Namor. I think he was from an alternate timeline where he tried to like overthrow the Maestro, but our Maestro's dead, so it's obviously a different timeline. So it's pretty cool. I'd love to see. There's a lot of cool stuff, and hopefully Realm can give us some answers as well. And I'm just, oh man, I love the story so much.
I'm right there with you. So, and again, I don't. In favor of more rapid-fire gameplay, I think people kind of do lose the threads of the story. And, speaking generically, I think one thing Kabam could really do better is, like, getting more people invested in the story. Because there are obviously people who are invested in the story. I know, like, CT is a big one who is. Obviously, I know you are. I know that Jim is. There's, like, people who are invested in the story, but, like, I want to see Kabam do more to make people care about the story. Like, I mean, comic books at their basis, and like even the MCU movies, all the television shows that are coming out, people are following for the story. Like, get us involved in the story again. Like, please, kind of like I really want to, encourage them to not just like. Don't get me wrong, I love the animatics that come out every single month, the like little motion comic, but like I would love to see that resource dedicated to the storyline of the contest right now. Like, what is the storyline of the contest? Where is it at? What are we waiting for? What are we building towards? Who are we building towards, for that matter? I think Kabam could really do a better job about, like, showcasing their story. I don't think they do enough of a good job doing that, to be honest.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, especially when these storylines are so stretched out from, like, basically we have the same story going on since 2019, and we're in 2021, so I can totally understand that, and I for sure would love to see something new, and sometimes even, like, honestly, last month, there was basically no story last month, besides Odin come to the Battle Realm, so I for sure would love to see...
Like, yo, I'm here! We were all like, okay.
Yeah, it was I was very disappointed compared to, like, this month with... Whole bunch of lore, whole bunch of Easter eggs, teases, references to Marvel vs. Capcom. Oh my god, I loved it.
Yeah, there were a lot of good references this month, I would agree. But at the same time, I will caveat that with, sometimes I think you need to have break months. Because I think sometimes, you get caught up in releases, you get caught up in community drama, you get caught up in other things do just get prioritized, and I think that's okay. I think what then happens, though, is, like, because they take a month off, everyone's kind of forgotten the threads that they've dropped. So, like, they spend all of this time and energy and effort creating all of these threads and all of these Easter eggs, but then everybody forgets them because they take a month off. Taking a month off is a bad idea, but I think they need a better way to pick up the threads.
Okay. Jax, you got anything else?
No, that was my last note for the night.
All right. Cool. If you guys don't mind, I'm gonna open up a 6-star crystal real quick. You guys tell me when to stop it.
Ooh, okay. Are you spinning it now?
Yes, it's on the reel.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pop.
All right. It's slowing down.
Fingers crossed for something good for you.
Yeah.
6-star Havoc.
Oh.
That's not bad. Havoc is good.
Right. Cool. I've got a rank 2 6-star APOC. So.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a fun time.
Alright, and I've got Colossus and a bunch of other mutants.
Ooh. Heck yeah. Alright. Oh, and Jim, that's a good call. I will do that in 1 second. Okay, so I have 5 calves I can open real quick. I will pop them if you want to count me down.
Yeah,
we'll do a crystal spin.
Yeah, okay. I've got a Cavalier Nexus to go with that.
Ooh, perfect.
Same time, ready?
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, popped all 5. Let's see what happens.
All right. Oh, I got a 5-star Nexus.
Oh my god, I got a 6-star Nexus.
What?
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
What?
Oh my god, I did. And I do my Silver Surfer, which I could care less about, which is fine. My 5-star Silver Surfer, who I just don't care about. Because what is prestige? But I totally got a 6-star Nexus.
I'm gonna pop this Nexus open real quick.
Yeah, you and I both. All right, hold on. Let me get that. Dude, that makes me so excited. Oh wait, free crystal. All right, Brian Grant moment. Okay, there we go. All right, let me find this Nexus. Dude, I'm so excited. Okay, let's do this.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, who'd I get?
Okay.
Oh, how fitting! Oh my god, how fitting!
Thrasher, Iceman, or Mysterio Awaken? I'm going for the new Night Thrasher.
Oh yeah,
nice.
nice.
Purple Nexus, which is fine. Because I know who I'm picking out of it, so it's fine. So I got Rhino, who is new, Guillotine, who is new, and Diablo, who is Awaken. So I'm picking Guillotine.
Yay!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Guillotine without question. No question, no comparison there. So absolutely a Guillotine pull. Not the best Nexus in the world, but that's okay because it was free. It was from my free cabs, so I'm totally a-okay with that.
All right. 2.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Mutant skill crystals. Okay, I got both duped, Killmonger and Beast. Dang it.
Ooh.
That
Killmonger dupe is nice. He always needs 4/6.
No, yeah, he was just awakened.
Oh,
so
nice.
Ooh, sweet.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Excellent.
that's it, everybody.
Well, Dragon wanted to answer.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, Jim asked me a question, and then, if it's okay, Y2 Equalizer also asked me a question. So Y2 Equalizer asked me, what are my thoughts on CGR? I have a rank 5 Awakened CGR. I think that answers itself. And then Jim wanted to know what's coming up on the UMCOC podcast. So our next show is Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be talking a lot about the event this weekend, I think. So, there's definitely been a lot of community drama about the materials that are now available in terms of ranking. So I think that's probably what we'll talk the most about. So,
Awesome.
Yeah,
Definitely be there.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. This has been a ton of fun.
Thanks for joining us. We've had a lot of fun having you.
Yeah, this has been great. So yeah, thanks again, and thanks everybody in the chat for all those Mojo pictures. I appreciate them so much. Love y'all much.
All right. Well, if that's everything, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Have a great night, everybody, and hope you enjoy your week.